Adam sat alone in the dark, the soft hum of the refrigerator the only sound in the quiet house. His laptop screen cast a pale glow over his face, illuminating the deep furrow in his brow. He had always trusted Sophia, had always believed that their marriage was built on honesty, on love, on the simple understanding that they were a team. And yet, here he was, staring at the numbers on the screen, his heart pounding in his chest, his stomach twisting into knots. He wasn't the type to spy, never the jealous husband who questioned his wife's whereabouts. He had never felt the need, but something had been gnawing at him for weeks now. A shift in Sophia's demeanor, subtle but undeniable. The way she had been coming home later than usual, brushing off his questions with a quick kiss and a vague excuse. Work ran late, you know how it is. For a while he had accepted it. He had told himself that she was just busy, that it was just another stressful project at her firm. But then there were the missed calls, the hushed conversations in the other room, the way she would turn her phone screen away whenever he walked by. It was as if she had started living a life separate from him, one that he was not meant to see. Still, he had pushed the doubt aside. Until tonight, it had started innocently enough. A simple check of their joint bank account to make sure the bills had been paid. But as he scrolled through the transactions, a charge caught his eye. A restaurant, a high-end one he had never been to. The total? $350. It was from 2 nights ago, the night she had claimed to be at the office. His fingers moved almost on their own, clicking deeper into the records. Another charge. A hotel. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. She wasn't at work that night. She had been with someone else. Adam's breathing slowed, but his mind was racing. He had always believed that honesty was the foundation of marriage, and yet the evidence was right in front of him. Sophia had lied. She had betrayed him. The old Adam, the trusting husband, might have confronted her in anger, demanded answers, begged for an explanation. But that man no longer existed. If Sophia thought she had been careful, she was wrong. If she thought she had him fooled, she had underestimated him. Adam wasn't going to scream. He wasn't going to cry. He was going to plan. Adam sat motionless for what felt like hours, his mind running through every possibility, every scenario. He wanted to believe that there was another explanation, something that made sense, something that didn't involve his wife betraying him. But the numbers on the screen didn't lie. The restaurant charge, the hotel booking, it was all right there, cold and undeniable. A year ago, if someone had asked him if he trusted Sophia, he would have said yes without hesitation. They had built a life together, shared dreams, weathered hardships, and celebrated victories. They had routines, inside jokes, moments of quiet intimacy that felt unshakable. But now, sitting in the dark, staring at the damning evidence in front of him, Adam realized something. Trust wasn't about words or memories. Trust was about actions. And Sophia's actions had betrayed her. His initial instinct had been to confront her immediately, to call her, demand an explanation, force her to look him in the eyes and tell him the truth. But as his anger simmered into something colder, something sharper, he realized that confronting her now would only give her the chance to lie. She would cry, she would deny, she would make excuses. She would twist the narrative in a way that made him question himself, question whether he was overreacting, question whether his gut feeling was just paranoia. No, that wasn't going to happen. He needed proof. Pulling his phone from his pocket, he quickly searched for private investigators in the area. He needed someone discreet, someone experienced. A name caught his eye, Daniel Cross, a former detective turned PI with years of experience in cases just like this. Adam read through the reviews, all of which praised Cross's efficiency and thoroughness. This was the kind of man he needed. Without hesitating, he dialed the number. Cross Investigations, a deep, steady voice answered. Adam cleared his throat, forcing his voice to remain calm. I need your help with something. It's about my wife. There was a brief pause on the other end before Cross responded. I take it you suspect she's cheating. Adam exhaled, rubbing his temple. I don't suspect. I know. I just need confirmation. Solid evidence. Another pause, then. I don't waste time, and I don't deal in speculation. If she's cheating, I'll find out. If she's not, you'll know for sure. Either way, you'll have the truth. Meet me tomorrow at noon. I'll text you the address. Adam hung up, staring at his reflection in the dark screen of his laptop. This was happening. He was about to hire a man to track his wife, to confirm with hard evidence what his heart already knew. The next morning, Adam sat across from Daniel Cross in a small, nondescript office downtown. Cross was exactly what he expected, mid-40s, broad-shouldered, with a no-nonsense air about him. His piercing blue eyes studied Adam carefully as he jotted down notes. "I need to know her schedule," Cross said, flipping open a notebook. "Where she works, when she leaves, any regular patterns. The more I know, the faster I can get you answers." Adam ran a hand through his hair. "She works at an advertising agency. Lately she's been working late a lot. I know for a fact that last Thursday she wasn't at work. She was at a restaurant with someone. And after that, a hotel." Cross didn't react. He had clearly heard it all before. "You got an idea of who the other guy might be?" Adam clenched his jaw. He hadn't thought about that, not in detail. But now, sitting here, the thought of another man with his wife made his blood turn to ice. "Not yet." "I need you to find out," Cross nodded. "I'll need access to anything that might help. Phone records, bank statements, social media. People get sloppy when they think they're in control." That line struck Adam hard. Sophia did think she was in control. She thought she was untouchable, that she could lie to his face and keep her double life hidden. Not for long. Adam handed Cross a folder of what he had gathered so far. Screenshots of the transactions, a list of the nights she had stayed out late, even a few photos from Sophia's social media where she looked a little too dressed up for an office late-night shift. Cross flipped through the pages, nodding in approval. "You're organized. That's good. Most guys come in here with nothing but a gut feeling. I'll start tonight. I'll update you as soon as I have something concrete." Adam shook his hand firmly before leaving the office, his mind racing. By the time he got home, Sophia was already there, sipping a glass of wine at the kitchen counter, her phone screen glowing as she smiled at something. She looked up at him and gave him the same warm smile she always had, the one that used to make his heart swell. Now it just made his stomach turn. "How was your day?" she asked, her voice light, effortless. Adam forced a small smile. "Same as always." She had no idea. Tomorrow, her world would start to crumble. Adam had always believed that justice required patience. It was a principle he had lived by both in his career and in his personal life. But nothing had ever tested his patience quite like this. As he sat in his car later that evening, parked a few blocks away from the hotel Sophia had charged to their account, he realized just how deeply this betrayal had changed him. The waiting was the hardest part. Cross had told him to stay put, to let the professional handle the surveillance. But Adam couldn't help himself. He needed to see it for himself, even if he already knew what was happening behind those glass doors. He had never been the jealous type, never the kind of man who checked his wife's phone or followed her when she left the house. Now, here he was, tracking her like a man hunting prey. His phone buzzed. "Ross, she just arrived. I've got eyes on her." Adam swallowed the lump in his throat and typed back a single word. "Who?" The response took a few minutes. Time stretched painfully, every second feeling like an eternity. When Cross's reply finally appeared on the screen, Adam felt his stomach drop. "Cross, Nathan Carter, tall dark hair, mid-40s, expensive suit. Walked in 5 minutes after her. Looks comfortable, like he's done this before." Nathan Carter. The name meant nothing to Adam, but the description was enough. A businessman, probably wealthy, probably arrogant enough to think he could take another man's wife without consequences. Adam clenched his jaw so tightly it ached. Cross sent another message. "Cross, they're getting a room. Want me to follow?" Adam's grip tightened around the steering wheel. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to storm into that hotel, to tear through the halls, to drag Nathan Carter out by the collar and let him know exactly who he was dealing with. But that wasn't the plan. That wasn't how Adam worked. He inhaled deeply, forcing his rage into something colder, something useful. "Not yet. Just get what we need." A few moments later, Cross sent a photo. It was grainy, taken from a distance, but the figures were unmistakable. Sophia, her hand grazing Nathan's arm as they walked toward the elevator. Her expression wasn't one of guilt or hesitation. She was smiling. Adam closed his eyes, his grip loosening as a wave of clarity washed over him. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. She had chosen this, and now he would choose his response. The next morning, Adam went about his day as if nothing had changed. He made coffee. He kissed Sophia on the cheek when she walked into the kitchen. He listened as she told him about her long night at work. He watched the way she smiled so effortlessly, how she played the part of the devoted wife without the slightest hesitation. It was impressive, really, how easily she lied. He nodded, sipping his coffee, pretending to listen. In reality, his mind was already working through the next step. Cross had sent him everything: photos, timestamps, even audio of their conversation in the hotel lobby. Nathan Carter had leaned in close, whispered something in Sophia's ear that made her laugh. Adam had replayed that moment over and over, studying her face, the way she had looked at Nathan like he was the only man in the world. She had never looked at Adam that way, not in years. That evening, Adam called Cross. "I want more," he said. "You already have enough," Cross replied. "She's caught. You can file for divorce tomorrow and take her. For everything." But Adam didn't want to just leave. He didn't want to simply end things. That was too easy, too clean. He needed her to feel what he was feeling, to understand what it meant to be deceived, to be played. "I want to know how far this goes," Adam said. "I want to know if I was ever the man she wanted, or if I was just the guy who paid the bills while she entertained herself with men like Nathan." Cross exhaled. "All right, I'll dig deeper. But I hope you know what you're doing." Adam knew exactly what he was doing. The next day, Sophia left for work as usual, giving Adam a quick kiss before heading out the door. The moment she was gone, he went to work. He started with her laptop, then moved to her closet, checking for hidden keepsakes, any small clues she had kept from her double life. It didn't take long to find what he was looking for. In the bottom of her dresser drawer, beneath neatly folded scarves and delicate lingerie, was a small, locked box. Adam smirked. A locked box was an admission of guilt. If there was nothing to hide, there would be no need to keep it locked. A few minutes and a bent paperclip later, the lid popped open. Inside he found letters, handwritten, filled with careful cursive, each one addressed to her darling, not Adam, not her husband, someone else. His eyes scanned the dates. These letters weren't new. Some were over a year old. So, it had been going on for longer than he thought. There were also printed emails, exchanges she had clearly wanted to keep. One caught his attention immediately. "Nathan, I don't like sharing you. When will you finally leave him?" "Sophia, soon. I just need to make sure I get what I deserve first." Adam let out a slow breath, his heart pounding in his ears. She had never loved him. She had been planning this, waiting for the right moment to strike. Well, now it was his turn. She thought she had been playing him all along. She had no idea that the real game had just begun. The days that followed felt like a blur of calculated decisions and careful control. Adam didn't let on to Sophia that he knew the truth. On the surface, everything seemed normal. They went through their routines, exchanged pleasantries, and shared meals. But beneath that fragile veneer of normalcy, Adam was a man on a mission. He had become someone else entirely. Someone patient, precise, and relentless. It was the evening of their anniversary, the day Adam had been waiting for. Sophia had been looking forward to the dinner. She had even mentioned it a few times during the week, casually remarking that she hoped this one would be special. "After everything we've been through," she had said, "we deserve a night to ourselves. Don't you think?" Adam had smiled, nodding in agreement. He had already decided that he wasn't going to ruin the evening. He would let her enjoy it, let her believe she had won. The day would come when he would expose everything, when she would finally feel the weight of her lies. But tonight, he would play the part of the loving, unsuspecting husband. He had everything ready, the evidence, the photos, the bank statements, but the most powerful weapon he held was her complete trust. Sophia, dressed in a black evening gown that clung to her curves, looked radiant. Her hair cascaded in waves over her shoulders, and her perfume lingered in the air. She smiled brightly at Adam as he walked into the room, looking as though she had nothing to hide. "Are you ready for our night out?" she asked, her voice full of excitement. Adam returned the smile. "I'm more than ready, but first I have something for you." He handed her a neatly wrapped box, a present for their anniversary. Sophia's eyes lit up and she quickly unwrapped it. She opened the box to reveal a small, elegant piece of jewelry, a delicate bracelet with a charm in the shape of a heart. "Oh, Adam," she gasped. "It's beautiful." He nodded, his voice calm. "I'm glad you like it. You deserve it." Sophia smiled again and kissed him on the cheek. For a moment, everything felt right. But deep down, Adam knew that this was the calm before the storm. They left the house and drove to a fancy restaurant downtown. one of the places they had frequented in the past. The staff knew them by name and everything seemed to be going smoothly. But Adam was aware of every glance, every gesture, every subtle shift in her behavior. She was talking about her work, asking about his day, all the while maintaining an air of innocence. It was almost as if she had forgotten the web of lies she had woven. As they ate, Adam could feel his pulse quicken. The time was approaching. He couldn't let it go on any longer. After dinner, he led Sophia back to the car, both of them laughing at some inside joke. They were almost home when Adam reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small envelope. He paused, glancing at Sophia with a calmness that took her by surprise. "What's this?" she asked, tilting her head. "This," Adam said, his voice steady but cold, "is the truth." He handed her the envelope, and Sophia's smile faltered as she took it. As she opened it, the first thing she saw were the bank statements, the restaurant charges, the hotel bookings. The dates matched perfectly with the nights she had claimed to be working late. Sophia's eyes widened, her breath caught in her throat. She looked up at Adam, her face pale. "How did you—" she began, but the words trailed off as she saw the photos. Sophia and Nathan, in the hotel lobby, walking into the same room. "You really thought I wouldn't find out, didn't you?" Adam's voice was low, almost mechanical. "You thought I was too naive, too trusting to see what was going on right under my nose." Sophia's hand trembled as she held the evidence. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Adam continued, his voice now filled with a cold edge of finality. "I wasn't angry at first. I just wanted to be sure. I wanted to see how deep this really went." He gestured to the pictures. "Nathan Carter, was he really worth it? Was your little affair worth throwing away everything we had?" Sophia's eyes welled with tears. "Adam, I didn't mean for it to go this far. It was a mistake. A mistake." Adam cut her off, his tone sharp. "A mistake is forgetting to send a text or leaving your keys in the wrong place. This wasn't a mistake, Sophia. You knew exactly what you were doing." She looked down, ashamed, the weight of her guilt too much to bear. But Adam wasn't finished. "You don't get to lie to me, to betray me, and then ask for forgiveness like it's all so simple. You had your chance. You threw it away the moment you decided I wasn't enough for you." Sophia reached out, her voice desperate. "Adam, please, let me explain, please." But Adam took a step back, his expression hardening. "There's nothing left to explain. You've already shown me everything I need to know." Sophia's sobs filled the air, but Adam didn't flinch. He wasn't moved. He had heard all the excuses before. They meant nothing to him now. Without another word, Adam reached into his pocket and pulled out one more set of papers. Divorce papers. He handed them to Sophia, watching her face as she read the document, her hands shaking. "You'll sign these," Adam said, his voice resolute, "and then you'll leave." Sophia stared at the divorce papers in shock, as if she couldn't quite grasp what was happening. "You really doing this?" Adam nodded, his gaze unwavering. "I've already packed your things. Your car's waiting outside." Sophia fell silent, her tears falling freely now. She didn't protest, didn't beg. She knew it was over. As Adam turned to leave, he heard her voice behind him, faint and broken. "I'm sorry, Adam. I never meant to hurt you." But Adam didn't turn around. He didn't need to hear it. The woman she had been was gone, replaced by someone else, someone he no longer recognized. When he stepped outside, the weight that had been suffocating him for so long was gone. For the first time in years, Adam felt free. The days following the confrontation felt surreal. Adam didn't feel the rush of vindication he had imagined. He didn't feel elated or even angry. He just felt calm. There was an emptiness inside him, but it was different now, lighter. For years he had carried the weight of uncertainty, of suspicion, but now it was all gone. He had the truth, and that truth was far more devastating than he had expected. Yet it also set him free. Sophia was gone, and she hadn't put up a fight. She had signed the divorce papers without hesitation, her hands trembling as she handed them back to him. It was as if the woman who had been his wife for over a decade had disappeared in an instant, leaving behind nothing but the remnants of a life that once seemed unbreakable. That night, after Sophia had left, Adam sat alone in their living room. He glanced at the empty chair where she used to sit, the spot where they had shared countless meals, talked about their days, and planned for the future. Now it felt like a stranger's home. The house was still, eerily quiet, as though it too was mourning the end of something, but there was no going back. He had spent the last few weeks going over everything, reviewing the messages, the photos, the emails, and the countless other pieces of evidence that Cross had provided. Every single one of them confirmed what Adam had feared. Sophia hadn't just been unfaithful, she had been building a life without him, a life that he had never been a part of, a life she had kept hidden from him. It was clear now that he had been nothing more than a safety net, a stable figure in her life, while she sought excitement elsewhere. The realization stung, but Adam didn't dwell on the hurt. He couldn't afford to. His phone buzzed on the coffee table, snapping him out of his thoughts. It was a message from Maria, his daughter. "Maria, Dad, I know things have been tough lately, but I just wanted to remind you that we're here for you. Let me know if you need anything." Adam smiled softly as he read the message. Maria had always been his anchor, the one person who truly understood him. She had called a few days after the divorce was finalized, her voice filled with concern as she asked how he was holding up. He had assured her he was fine, but the truth was, he had been struggling with the reality of it all. It was hard not to feel like a failure, even if he knew he had done the right thing. He typed back quickly, "Adam, thanks Maria, I'm doing better than I thought I would. I'll be okay." "Maria, good. I'm proud of you, Dad." Her words warmed him. The pride in her voice reminded him that, even though this chapter of his life had ended in a way he hadn't expected, there was still so much left to build. He wasn't broken, not even close. A week later, Adam received a call from the attorney handling the divorce proceedings. He had expected the call, but hearing the finality in the lawyer's voice made everything feel official. "Mr. Hale, I'm calling to inform you that the divorce has been finalized. You're officially free of any legal ties to Mrs. Hale, the settlement has been approved, and you'll receive your share of the assets in the next few days." Adam thanked the lawyer and hung up, his mind already turning to the next phase of his life. He had a clean slate now, an opportunity to start over, to rebuild everything he had lost. The freedom was both exhilarating and terrifying. For the first time in months, Adam felt the pull of something new, something that didn't involve his past marriage. He had spent so many years focusing on Sophia, on their life together, that he had forgotten to think about himself. Now, he realized, it was time to figure out who he really was outside of their relationship. The next few weeks were filled with small but significant changes. Adam sold the house, the home that had been their sanctuary, their prison, depending on how he looked at it. It wasn't easy. He had poured so much of himself into it, made it a place where they had envisioned growing old together. But the house no longer felt like home. It was a reminder of a life that no longer existed. He moved into a small apartment downtown, closer to work, closer to the city's pulse. It was modern and minimalist, a far cry from the suburban home he had shared with Sophia. It wasn't much, but it was his, and it felt like a fresh start. Maria came to visit a few weekends later. She looked around the apartment, nodding approvingly. "I like it, Dad. It feels like you." That was all Adam needed to hear. Over the next few months, Adam focused on himself. He took long walks in the park, went to the gym more often, and even picked up a few hobbies he had neglected for years: photography, reading, cooking. For the first time in a long time, he felt like he was rediscovering who he was. Sophia, meanwhile, had vanished from his life entirely. There were no calls, no messages, no attempts to reach out. Adam had known she would try to move on quickly, but it still stung. The last few weeks before the divorce had been full of excuses, of promises to change, of guilt-ridden apologies. It didn't matter now. She had made her choice. And Adam had made his. One evening, as he sat by the window of his new apartment, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, he realized he wasn't angry anymore. He wasn't even sad. He was just free. For the first time in years, Adam felt a quiet sense of peace settle over him. He had survived the worst of it, and now he was ready to live again.